So, transported to the start of the CADEsport version of the Hillingdon Honey. Now, this course is basically named after two hills, Hillingdon Hill and Honeycroft Hill. We also go down one called Honey Hill as well, which leads us to the bottom of Honeycroft Hill. Now, this is about 4 kilometres long. You can see 4.2 kilometres, in fact. This is designed to be a race of 4 laps, culminating in 16 point something kilometres, 16.8, which is just over 10 miles. So it's based on a 10 mile, 16 kilometre track. Now immediately we have this little drop. You can see the gradient in the bottom left middle. It's telling us that it's minus 1.4. This is the lull before the storm, because it will then go up through Hillingdon Hill, and that is not too steep. In fact, neither of the hills here are going to cause a lot of damage, but the whole point of them is it just adds a dimension to the racing where faster riders can try and escape. Just a couple of bends on this course where you risk crashing, and remember that currently with CADEsport you can choose whether or not you have braking and steering or not, and if you have got it, then you risk crashing, but you can go around these bends faster. If you haven't, it's safe around the bends, but your speed is restricted around those bends. Now, there's not too many tight bends here, so you might want to choose the option where there is less crashing. But remember too that we offer certain power-ups in here, and check the race before you do it. But if you have got the corner caper one, then of course that will be usable on those tight bends. Now, well, you can see we're into the gradient. This is Hillingdon Hill. It actually has a few trees that look like this in real life. This is stock scenery. It's not. It has been made for us, but it is not representing the actual landscape around West London, and certainly the mountain ahead of you. You wouldn't expect to see anywhere in London. Even big hills in North London and South London don't quite look that big. So we're going up this hill, fairly straight. It's a dual carriageway in real life. You can cycle up at it quite easily. There's not too much traffic on it, and it can get round you. So this is not far from what it looks like in real life. Now you can see from the course at the top left-hand corner, with a yellow blob, we're going heading downwards, southwards on that map. And you'll see that there's a sharp bend when we get to the top of Hillingdon Hill, and when we reach that, there'll be a sharp left into Vine Lane, which becomes Honey Hill downwards. And when we get to the bottom of Honey Hill, we turn left and go up Honeycroft Hill, weave round, and find ourselves back at the start finishing line where we started. So the whole game here is to see what you can do on the climbs, not get left too far behind. And see here now, this left hand bend here, get around quite easily at 35, way off the red zone on the speedometer there. So quite a safe one there. That takes us into Vine Lane, and this is the sort of cutting across now. We've done Hillingdon Hill, and you can see the gradient there in the bottom left middle, minus 2.6. Slight drop here. Gets steeper when Vine Lane turns into Honey Hill, and you can see we're probably about halfway across that bridge. There is I say bridge. As I say, if you look at the two sides of the course at the top left, the one on the left is Hillingdon Hill, and the one on the right is Honeycroft Hill. Now, this is the bridge taking us across from Hillingdon Hill to Honeycroft Hill, but as I say, we have to go down to get to the bottom of the same hill. So not too much of a gradient here on this bit. You see, it's under 2% largely, but as it changes into Honey Hill, it gets a bit steeper, and you will notice that gradient go up before we get to the bottom. You can see now hovering around 2 more consistently. It will go up a little bit, but look, there's one of the bends I warned you about. Not paying any attention there. Minus 2.5. The gradient might sort of increase your speed a little bit to the point of making that bend slightly more dangerous. So just watch out for that right hand bend on the descent. And you can see now this drop. We're on Honey Hill now. It's hovering around 2%, but it's a bit steeper than the gradient on Vine Lane. Now when we get to the bottom of this, you'll see by the yellow blob, and we're nearly at the bottom, we do this left-hander here. Now this is a little bit more sweeping, so it's not too risky, shall we say, and we get there on that quite easily at quite a speed before we hit the bottom of Honeycroft Hill. So this is Honey Hill we're going down now, 5%, and as you can see, this is where I said it gets steeper when it turns from Vine Lane into Honey Hill. When we get to the bottom of this, we're going to swing left and it will start going up again very, very shortly. Taking a bit more care on that bend, although it's still curved enough not to really cause too much of a problem. 1 kilometre to go on the lap with 3.1 around it. So you can see nothing too dangerous, but we're now into Honeycroft Hill. You can see the gradient here going up to about 3%. That's probably as bad as it gets. And when you get to the top, you'll see the yellow blob on the map in the top left hand corner. Where that swings round to the left is the top of the hill, and that takes us back to the start line, which comes very shortly after the top of the hill. Now, here's the warning. When you get to the start finishing line, obviously there's 4 laps if we're doing one of the races we're organising, and that's where the other bend is. So on the final lap, you can go as fast as you like through the finishing line, and it won't matter if you crash the other side of it because you'll have crossed it. But on every other lap, be careful, because you could easily crash, as we'll demonstrate in a moment when we get to the top. So just 500 metres to go. You can see the Canadian rider in front of us just beginning to swing round on that left-hand curve. We're getting very near the top. You'll see the finishing line coming into view very, very soon. 400 metres to go as the gradient settles down now. In fact, it's slightly going down there, but it's minus 1%. And as I say, we're over the top of Honeycroft Hill, and we're just heading for that finishing line, as I say, which is going to come into view very, very shortly. 200 metres to go, and you can just about see it through the trees now, and you can see where the barriers start. It swings around to the left. Finishing line just on the left here as we go into Uxbridge Town Centre. But look what happens to me there, far too fast on that little descent into Uxbridge Town Centre, which takes us to the bottom of Hillingdon Hill, and I crash again. So off for lap 2. Better luck to you when you do it. Well, here we go. CADEsport is back with the West London VR race Wednesday evenings, alternate Wednesdays here on CADEsport. They're making some fantastic courses for you, for us. And these are the dates you can do them. As I say, alternate Wednesdays, we're up to the 17th of May. So the next one, 31st of May, 3 in May. There's 13 in the series, and the top riders will go through to the final to trade off for the World Series. That's here on CADEsport every other Wednesday, 7:30 UK time. Now, the classifications so far, we do break this down, so the ladies compete in both leagues. Vanessa Merhan, though, she's triumphant in everything, isn't she? Look, she's leading both, but we look at Homer Thompson on the same points in the GC. Now, they can't get the same points in tonight's race, so something is going to change. Who will be leading? Well, it might not be either of them, because look at Erhan, René Valadez, Andy Weber, Frank Garcia, Brett Smith, all within range there, having done the 3 races. So very much open at the moment. And as I say, Vanessa quite ahead on the Ladies' League by 100 points. But with the proviso that the Ladies' League is based on your best 6 races. So Vanessa having ridden one more than Kay, etc. The other ladies are still in with a chance now. So there's quite a lot to play for, and this is going to be quite exciting. Hillingdon Honey, of course, it hasn't got too many bends, but if you do want to avoid crashing, you can use the assists menu. It's top right-hand corner. This switches off all the sort of steering, and it restricts your speed on the bends so you won't crash so much. And this is how we would have that set if we were riding it. Now, you will go slightly slower on the bends than people who risk crashing, and that's the trade-off. You can get a faster cornering speed but risk crashing with the steering and braking, etc., or you can take away the risk and use the assist. However, just to throw into the mix and make the decision a little bit more difficult, of course, we do offer power-ups in this, which includes 2 corner capers of 10 seconds each. And if you start one of those, there's a corner caper for you. you can't crash on a corner. So when you get to the difficult corners, you could ignite one of those and you won't crash. However, there are two, in my view, difficult corners on each lap, as you've seen. So that's 8 in all over the 4 laps. And so therefore, that's going to be quite a difficult decision. There's the course again. We've actually just seen the preview, and that, as you can see, that red line mirrors the shape in the top left-hand corner of the preview race. And that's what it looks like in real life. It actually encircles an old RAF camp, and you can see in the middle there, there's Hillingdon Golf Course in green and Dowding Park. Dowding was a famous RAF commander during the Battle of Britain in World War II. And the Battle of Britain bunker there, where the whole Battle of Britain was coordinated. That was sort of the control of it all, sending up the Spitfires to fight the Luftwaffe. It was all coordinated from where that blue dot is in the middle. So quite a historic place. The RAF camp's now gone and it's being developed into flats and shops and things. But there it all happened. So this is the CADEsport profile of the race. You can see where the hot spots are, the two yellow bits there and the blue bits. So you can see a couple of longish hills, but it's mainly about Hillingdon Hill and, of course, Honeycroft Hill. The two climbs, they're both gentle. And up there, the power plant there, you can see the card-shaped graphic in the middle towards the top. Power plant gives you 10 seconds of extra power. Corner capers, as we said, give you 10 seconds of no crashing on corners. So you can choose when you want to deploy those, and it's quite interesting. We've noticed in recent races that people are saving them till near the end so that they can do tight corners on sprints. Now, very oddly, there's a very tight corner right on the finishing line, which means you could crash on it on any lap. But if you crash on it on the finishing line, well, it won't really matter because you'll have crossed the line by the time you crash. So visit westlondoncycling.com for all the up-to-date standings and everything else like this. After the race, I will compile the standings and they will be put up there on a blog. Come and give me an hour or so after the race to compile it all. But you can get all the details on there. And we've got lots of other interesting things about CADEsport where we explain to you how to set up steering if you want it, how to get yourself started on CADEsport, and lots of other useful information if you're not really familiar with it yet. Now, we do these races, as I say, every other week. There's only 13 seconds to start now, so I think it's probably about time we went over. The riders get transported over there from where they're practicing. You can't tell how many are on the line because they're all bunched up together to give them the same start, and they're silhouetted until about 10-20 seconds into the race when they and you can ride through them when they're silhouetted, but this is to avoid somebody blocking up the start line. But now you can see they go the avatars go solid and you can see the race is on. Now Vanessa M there is with Rennie Valadez and the black shorts with the red and black stripes. They're CADEsport riders. The blue and white hoops are West London riders. And who we got in? Frank Garcia, Malcolm Weber, Vanessa Merhan, Rennie Valadez, Homer Thompson will be in yellow, and he's riding from Indiana. Kay Carnage behind him. Kay Thompson will also be running from Indiana. And we've got a French rider and a German rider a little further back. Andy Weber right at the back. Not sure what's going on with Andy. Antonio McCulloch is in there. There's the German rider, although that doesn't sound a very German name. Bonnie Steidman with a French flag there. And I rather like the kit. It reminds me of the old Peugeot kit from the Tour de France days. We've got Sebastian Kern there in Sebastian in first place at the moment. Andy Evans just behind him, one of the West London riders. Erhan in the red shorts with the white jersey. Eugene from Russia is in the green and black. And we're going up Hillingdon Hill, as the graphic nicely points out for us. And interesting, we can see some of the riders on the... I'm not sure who that is. But somebody off the front now. It's Frank Garcia is unprofiled here. But somebody's gone off the front. Andy Evans and Erhan chasing there. And it's Sebastian Kern, the German, who's gone off the front now. He's got a little bit of a gap on Malcolm, but Erhan's caught him up. Malcolm Murdoch there, a West London rider, leading the chase. Kristen Weidman in the fourth position there from the US. Andy Evans fifth. Eugene from Russia. This is quite strewn out. They're coming up to one of the bends here. This one's reasonably tight. This is everybody gets around quite safely though. No crashes there. So there's only a couple that I think are really difficult. One's on the finishing line, and somebody using a power up there. That was I think Christian Weber using the power up there. Now these. That was a corner caper, in fact. Sorry, that was the red is a corner caper. If it's white, it's going to be a power up. Andy Evans here from Watford. He lives in Watford, but works in Ruislip. Both the West London riders, works in Uxbridge, I should say. Both the West London riders, they're next to each other in the blue and white. Malcolm lives in Uxbridge. Andy works in Uxbridge. And this race is taking place, basically, at least half of it is in Uxbridge. So very local for these riders. They'll know these roads in real life. Everybody bunched up. This is quite good. We've got a bit of a peloton going on here. They are going down Honey Hill now. This is the bend I think is tricky, and we get our first crash there. It's the Russian. It's and Renny Valadez as well. So that was the first of the two bends that were warned about. If you did the practice runs, you would have got them. Erhan a little bit behind. I don't know if he took that corner too carefully, but he's back in the bunch. The bunch whittled down to about 6 riders now by the looks of things, with a little bit of a gap back to Carnage at 5 seconds. Not a lot, though, as they bunch up once again. They go into the turn. Carnage trying to catch up now. Eugene Carroll, the Russian now, using the corner caper to get round the next corner. I don't think he really needed it on the next one, but he's taking no chances. He's chasing down Carnage. They're chasing down the pack. 6 getting away off the front now. Can these guys push it? We've got to go round this bend, and then it's up Honeycroft Hill. And already the effect of Honeycroft Hill has distanced the 2 West London riders. Malcolm's just come back from riding a lot of mountains in Spain, so his hills... his hill climbing's quite good at the moment, and Andy and Malcolm both get back on the 6. Initially caught out, but we have got a couple off the front. It's now split into 2 groups. Frank Garcia there leading the second group, leading the chase down to Sebastian and Christian Weber and Christian Weimann, sorry. And Frank is pulling away from the others. He's got a second on Vanessa and Andy and Malcolm, and they've got a second on Erhan. It's beginning to split. The pressure of these 2 off the front is beginning to hurt. Hillingdon Honey was created by a replicator on CADEsport. Remember this. These are bespoke courses made on CADE. And remember the phrase, made on CADE. These are made on CADE, but they're based on West London VR's locality. The 6 back together up the front now. And we've got Malcolm 4 seconds on Erhan, 7 seconds on Carnage. So the 6 are looking like they're going to shape this race a little bit. And difficult to say who's going to do what, but still on the first lap. And this is the finishing line. Everybody gets around that bend without crashing. And I think a couple of them using the power plants there. That looks like... I think that's Andy Weber, is it? Sorry, Andy Evans that's using the power up there just to stay on that group. They go down this little dip, but then there'll be Renny Valadez has crashed, and I'm assuming that's on the finishing line. He's 12 seconds behind. He's going to pay for that. But this front 6 now stretched a little bit. I mean, it might only actually be 5 looking at it. Malcolm Murdoch drifting off the back a little bit. Don't worry, Hillingdon Hill is going to slow everybody down again in a second as we make the turn. A little bit flat. There's a bit of a lull before the storm, before you hit Hillingdon Hill, as we go into lap 2. 4 off the front, including Andy Evans. Frank Garcia just sitting off the back, but gently easing himself back into the group. Malcolm's only a second behind. He's going to have to make sure he doesn't lose ground on Hillingdon Hill. Looks like he's sneaking up onto Frank's wheel, and we're back to the 6. So this 6... it's the little peloton up the front that's going to duke this one out. And interestingly, the 2 series leaders, Renny Valadez down again. The 2 series leaders, Homer and Vanessa, neither of them in this group. Now, they've both ridden all the races, so that gives them a little bit of an edge because they've got more races to catch up points. And bear in mind, you get 100 for the win. On a 13-race series, you've only got to finish 90th every time, and if everybody else misses a race, you'll probably in with a good chance of winning the series. So it really depends. If Homer turns up for every race and Vanessa turns up for every race, they could be well within winning. Rennie Valadez down again. If the rider's name goes red on the leaderboard up on the right, they've gone down. So Rennie now, and he's got the Russian Eugene on his wheel there. Eugene just taking a turn. Eugene Carroll there. I think he's from St. Petersburg, if I remember rightly, and he's just pulling away a little bit from Rene, and he can see the bunch ahead of him, or at least he can see a rider ahead of him, and that's probably Erhan and Carnage, isn't it? Yes, it's those two. So he's got them within his sights. Erhan coming up. This bend not too bad, but I suppose he's still got to be a little bit careful. Erhan gets around it safely. He's a little bit behind Carnage. He's got 3 seconds to catch up, so and I think Carnage might be pulling away a little bit there. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's. Yes, I think that's maybe not. Erhan pulling it back a little bit there. So we'll see how this one plays out. Careful on the corners here. I don't think these are particularly difficult ones, but you get the one coming up now. They're on that little dip. You get the one coming up to the right, which is dangerous. You can see it coming up now. Will everybody be careful, or will somebody go down out of this group? And first rider's round it quite safely, and Erhan 2 gets round it. Carnage still that little gap back to 3 seconds ahead of Erhan, and Erhan not really cutting it down. Oh, it's down to 2. He's made a little bit of ground up now. This is the dodgy bend. Be careful here. Gets round it very, very. Oh, that was very, very skillful, and he made up a lot of ground there. And he's back on Carnage's wheel. In fact, flies by. Carnage getting left behind. So Erhan now in front of Carnage. As we go back, Vanessa M up there now, just behind Malcolm. She's made up some ground now, and that looks like it might be a 7, I'm guessing. It still looks like 6 to me, though. So I'm thinking we must have lost Andy Weber, I'm guessing. Malcolm taking the outside there and losing a metre or so on Vanessa in doing so. Vanessa up with the leaders now. So my comments about winning the series were probably a little bit premature because she's now back up with the contenders. We seem to have lost one of the other riders, it seems to me. So Frank Garcia sitting on the wheel of Andy Evans, and there's a gap. In fact, actually, Vanessa joining them. I know the CADEsport riders do talk to each other, so there's probably a bit of teamwork coming in. Frank looking after Vanessa here, and as I say, they're going to let Malcolm do all the work, I suspect. Andy Evans just coming up to make that a foursome. 2 West London riders. Andy not making up his mind where he wants to go here, not taking the slipstream, then getting in it and sitting on the wheel. But those 4 now have got a 5-second gap back to Christian and Sebastian, the German rider. So Sebastian Kern and Christian Weismann, there we are, Sebastian Kern out the front there, the German rider in the turquoise and black with the green and black of Christian just behind him. And Christian moving all over the track. We've got steering here. Christian going around the inside, getting that advantage. But remember, this is a tight bend on this one. They get round it safely as they hit the 3rd lap, the 2 leaders there. We had a couple of crashes there. Looked like Malcolm and Frank both crashed. That will take time out. Now, is Vanessa going to wait for Frank in the teamwork? Vanessa looks like it. Frank just getting back. Vanessa sort of holding back to wait for him. Letting Andy Evans get away. But I think, and Malcolm as well. So the 2 West London riders exploiting this. I think Vanessa's decided to chase because they're putting some pressure on. Are they working together or not? Probably not. I don't think they know each other that well. Vanessa definitely hunting them down, though. And she goes to the inside corner there using the steering. You get the advantage. Eugene has gone down. Eugene Russian is now 35 seconds back and probably out of contention. Eugene Carroll there. With another crash, unfortunately, and that's probably put paid to any chances of winning. And we're using a bit of a power up here. Andy Evans, Malcolm on his wheel, Malcolm taking the slipstream. They can see the 2 leaders ahead of them. Are they chasing them down? Malcolm going for the centre of the road. I'm not really sure why. I think it's much better to slip in that slipstream if you can, but he seems to be taking the centre line quite a lot. Maybe something's playing up on his steering, but anyway. And there we are, Malcolm Murdoch in full view, taking a look over to his teammate Andy Evans, neck and neck. 4 seconds behind the two race leaders, though. Sebastian Kern and Christian still in sight, but agonisingly 5 seconds away now. Christian Weidmann is now sitting on Sebastian's wheel. So Sebastian Kern and Christian Weidmann pulling away. They've got 6 seconds on Malcolm and Andy. It looks like they could do this. They're on lap 3 of 4, but still quite a long way to go on this lap. Not even halfway round yet. So it's not over yet. But the gap's gone out to 7, so they are exploiting it. Andy and Malcolm now sitting there working in tandem. They got 5 seconds ahead of Vanessa. Frank Garcia, though, 24 seconds back, and it looks like teamwork's not going to be part of this. Carnage will be catching up with Frank, as Erhan might do. Homer Thompson is 14 seconds behind. René Valadez 22 seconds behind. And this is opening up. So we had those first few laps with the peloton of 6, but it's opening up now. Eugene Carroll, unfortunately, lost a lot of ground now on his own. Trying to make up ground. Homer Thompson's caught him. I think Eugene should get on Homer's wheel if he's got any. And he tries to, but he doesn't keep the speed up. Homer can see the riders ahead of him, which is Eugene and sorry, that'd be Carnage and Ohan, wouldn't it? And Erhan, sorry, because Eugene's behind him. And he's actually making up ground. So this could become a trio. Just care on this corner, although I don't think it's the hardest. It's quite curved. And Homer chasing down Carnage now. 2 seconds to Carnage, 5 seconds to Erhan. If you make it up, it's gone out to 3 seconds to Carnage, though. So Homer not quite making up any more ground. Maybe it was the bends that were slowing the others down. And Homer is, I think that gap's widening, although Carnage seems to be getting Vanessa on that really tricky bend. She took that with aplomb. She knows these courses, even the new ones that we throw at her. You see, look, you can be at CADEsport and practice all you like, but we'll throw you new courses that you don't know. And still Vanessa practices them and gets the corners right. Exemplary cornering. She's taking the outside on this one, but there, look at that. Just look how she takes that racing line to get the inside of the bend without losing too much speed, staying up. Using tri-bars by the look of it. Malcolm Murdoch using a power-up. He's in 3rd position, and I think he's quite a long way off. He's got away momentarily from teammate Andy, but they're now 9 seconds behind the other two. Malcolm, I can tell you now from riding with Malcolm in real life, he does love a descent. He's one of the fastest descenders on our little Sunday rides. He's not always the fastest up the hills. Although, I have to say, his trip out to Spain mountain climbing it seemed to have paid off because he was quite quick on Sunday up some of the hills out there in the Chilterns, just northwest of London. And he was exceptionally fast by his own standards. But it's a descents where he excels, shall we say. So, just having a look at the two leaders here, Christian Weidmann and Sebastian Kern. They've got a full 11 seconds on Malcolm and 15 on Andy now. This is beginning to stretch out, and they're coming up to the end of lap 3. And Vanessa sitting on Andy's wheel now, and she can see Malcolm ahead. So she's made up some good ground since that little split with Frank where there was the crash. And I think Andy looks like he's going to catch up Malcolm, which will be good for Vanessa, who's cleverly sitting on his wheel. I'm assuming that Christian and Sebastian got round that tight bend at the finishing line, both using the corner caper, which suggests they probably did. They're both on lap 4 now, so this is the final lap, and it looks like with the gap they've got now of 14 seconds back to Malcolm Murdoch, 17 back to Andy and Vanessa, I think we can assume that this ground is not going to be made up. Andy just get a little bit of a jump on Vanessa there, but Vanessa pulling back the gap. I think Andy's got to be careful. He doesn't just tow Vanessa back to Malcolm and then Vanessa zooms off, because that gap between them looks to be thinning. It's down to not very much at all, is it? Malcolm just 2 seconds ahead. And Vanessa says, thank you very much. I'll do it from here. Puts in a bit of power, hunts down Malcolm Murdoch. I think she's going to fly by as well. Looking at that, Andy's responding. He's trying to stay on there, though. Still a little bit of a gap, but I think Vanessa's probably had a nice little easy ride on Andy's wheel and is now refreshed and will go for it on the 4th lap to try and take something from this race. Malcolm now doing all the work. Vanessa just sitting on the wheel again. Erhan and Eugene both went down. I'm assuming that's on the finishing line. Christian Weidman and Sebastian Kern both use a power up on the last lap. I did say earlier, this is a habit we're seeing, that riders using that power up on the last lap to try and make a little split. This is quite a long way out with 2.9 kilometres to go. But Christian Weidman is making it count at the moment. 2.8 kilometres to go, though, is a long way. And we've still got Honeycroft Hill to come. They're on the top end of Hillingdon Hill at the moment. And I think Christian is really making this pay. He's got 3 seconds on Sebastian now. And Sebastian, I think, has done a lot more work on the front. Christian Weidman, though, now is 4 seconds ahead. And I think he's going to make this one count as he gets to the top of Hillingdon Hill, starts making that left-hand turn for the crossroad. The road that crosses over to Honeycroft Hill via the descent of Honey Hill. So there's a downhill section now. And I think Sebastian's going to have to do very, very well to get anywhere close to Christian now. Still holding at 4 seconds, though. He's got 20 seconds back to Malcolm and Vanessa. Andy with them. So there's a 3-way battle for 3rd place, it looks like, at the moment. Everybody gets around that safely. And Vanessa's still sitting on the wheel. She doesn't want to do any work. I think she's saving it for that final ascent of Honeycroft Hill. And very wise tactics if she gets away with this too. Likewise, they're on the road that crosses over from the top of Hillingdon Hill down to the bottom of Honeycroft Hill. They go down Honey Hill. It's all very confusing, I know. So there's Honey Hill, which we descend, and Honeycroft Hill, which we ascend. And Andy Evans liking the descents a little bit. But remember, we've got that nasty sharp right-hander, which Vanessa has taken very, very neatly on every turn. If the guys in front are pushing too hard to get away from Vanessa, they may well pay the price on that tricky corner. Let's wait and see. Remember, of course, though, that it gets quite steep at the bottom just before they make the turn. I think they're going to make it by the looks of things. And I think something's... that's the tricky corner. Malcolm Murdoch slowed down a bit too much for it and has lost places. It's Andy and Vanessa. Malcolm's going to have to work hard. And all that training in Spain, the train in Spain is going to have to take away the pain as they head for Honeycroft Hill. But what have we got up front? With just 1.2 kilometres to go. They're on the foot of Honeycroft Hill, and it's Christian Weidman. He's pretty much been caught by Sebastian Kern now. Sebastian looking fierce, as I suspect that Christian has used all his power-ups. We don't know how many they've got left, but I'm guessing they've all gone. And Sebastian, after that catch-up, is going to let Christian do a bit of the work, or maybe not. No, Sebastian's got a power-up left. He saved it to the right moment. I did suggest earlier that I thought Honeycroft Hill was a good place to use one of these. You don't need the corner caper at the top because even if you crash, you'll be over the line by the time you crash. But Christian did have one left. Same tactics. He's going to run out quickly, though. But he's got the momentum. He ran out just as he caught up with Sebastian, but the momentum took him further. And Sebastian is not going to make that up, I don't think. 500 metres to go, but they're still on the hill. And it's not going to happen. I think Sebastian's recognised that is about it. A crushing victory. Christian Weidman coming up here now. Surely nothing can go wrong now. 300 metres left. He's got 4 seconds on Sebastian. Vanessa looks to be pulling away from Andy and Malcolm, although Andy's not far behind. And we can see the finishing line barriers coming up. 100 metres to go. Christian Weidman, a worthy winner. You might as well speed through there and crash just for the fun of it. Yes, a victory salute instead. So Sebastian Kern takes second place, not far behind as we look at the race. And as I suspected, Vanessa pulling away. And he's not letting her have it all her own way, though. He's not given up yet. They've got 200 metres to go. Andy has got right on her wheel. She uses the corner caper for this tricky corner, but I don't think you really need it. But it's enough to get her over the line in front of Andy, who does crash, and Malcolm doesn't. But Malcolm applauding everybody else as he takes 5th spot. Now, Homer Thompson will have lost points to Vanessa there, probably 2-3 points, I think. So he'll be 3 points behind Vanessa in the classification after this. But coming away for a worthy 6th, ahead of Kay Thompson, the Indiana couple in the yellow jerseys. Lafayette, Indiana, they come from. And they come as a pair, live together, of course. And they cycle together. And isn't that wonderful? We love it. Homer Thompson now with just 300 metres to go. No real pressure, I think, from Kay. Vanessa smiling as she celebrates the fact that she's going to be the clear leader in the series, I suspect. I better check that. Corner caper on here. Although, as I say, I don't think you need it on the last lap because by the time you crash, you'll be over the line. And there's Kay Thompson coming in next as well. So the Thompsons home. I will say the Thompson twins, which you have to be an English language reader of Tintin cartoons to understand. And again, power up being used on this last corner, which as I say, I don't think you need on the last lap, but that's her hand. Eugene Carroll coming in next to take some points. I think Eugene missed I think he tried to get on the last race, but just missed it. Oh, the crashes. That's what I did. Don't worry about that. Carnage is just behind Rene Valadez. Frank Garcia's dropped back. Frank very much were a team player. I think Frank sort of like works hard in the first half for other members of his team. Frank just soft pedals home. I did question this last time, and Frank explained to me that it was all deliberate. He couldn't possibly be tired out. So what have we got here? We've got Carnage just coming in behind Rene Valadez. And we see Erhan in the picture in the bottom left there after finishing well and keeping himself in contention for the general classification. Don't forget, if Vanessa misses a week, it's all to play for. So keep coming because one little bit of illness or a vacation and you could be right back in it. Frank Garcia soft pedaling home. Antonio McCulloch giving him the thumbs up. Antonio back there. I think I'm assuming Antonio is still riding. There's an asterisk by his name. As we see, no, it's silhouetted, which suggests that something's not quite up, but something's up, not quite right, I should say. Frank coming home there and sits up and applauds and crashes with aplomb. Bonnie Steidman in that resplendent. Oh, I absolutely love that. That resplendent. Steidman, sounded quite a Germanic name. Wonder if she's from the Alsace area. Bonnie there in the. Love that kit. Reminds me of the old Peugeot kit of the old days. Tommy Simpson, all that sort of thing. And great to see Bonnie coming up there on that flat handlebars as well. Andy Webber also coming up there. Same colours, dots across the top. Not a million miles from the old Peugeot kit either, is it? Kamaljit Singh is coming up next. I think Kamaljit's about to overtake somebody who I assume might be Antonio McCulloch, who's silhouetted. Possibly silhouetted because they're on another lap, actually. I think that's what it might be. So Kamaljit coming up, taking it gently with 400 metres to go. Yes, I think Andy... just having a look. Antonio not moving, I don't think. So Andy Webber there is behind Kamaljit. And let's just have a look. Seeing he's got 400 metres to go. But I think Kamaljit must be pretty much over the line now. No, Kamaljit's there. He's there, isn't he? He's still got 200 metres to go. You can see the finishing line. I'm wondering if Andy Webber is going to catch him at all. But I don't think he will because a couple of hundred metres. Yeah, you can see Andy did make up some ground but didn't quite catch him. Andy Webber coming in there and taking the next slot. So I think all our riders are nearly home. Bonnie here still to come. See Bonnie go over the line or not? Anyway, so there we have the results. Christian Weidman, Sebastian Kern, Vanessa M, Andy Evans, Vanessa sitting on the wheel of Andy and Malcolm for a while, making good use of that. Not beating them by a lot in the end, but it was enough to take 98 points, 100 to Christian, of course, and Sebastian Kern taking 99. 98 to Vanessa, 97 to Andy Evans. Malcolm Murdoch gets 96. The two West London riders. And from Lafayette, Indiana, Homer and Kay Thompson. Erhan from Turkey, Eugene Koroli from Russia, Rennie Valadez just beating Carnage, and Frank Garcia gently rolling home. There are some other results there. I don't know if we can see those, if we can page down and see the other riders' times or not. Maybe only. Oh, yes, we can. Yes, we can. So we got, as we say, Kamaljeet Singh, Andy Weber coming in there too. I think Bonnie Stedman as well was probably about to finish. I don't know if there's if she did or she didn't. Anyway, that takes us to the end of the presentation. I shall sit down and crunch some numbers. Vanessa, I think, is probably still leading the general classification and certainly the ladies' classification. We'll look out for that. Vibeke not here tonight. But remember, the ladies' classification is the best 6 races, so it's not over if you miss a race in the ladies' section. So I'll go and crunch the numbers. You can pick them all up on westlondoncycling.com. You can see the website address to your left. That's that way, isn't it? And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time on CADEsport. At Fifield next, it's actually a course that's used for both time trials and crit racing. So it's a real-life course that is actually a cycle racing legend, really, locally. So look out for that one, 2 weeks' time. Can't wait. See you soon. Bye-bye.